Hello friends, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Mahesh Kalra, Director, Center for Numismatic Information and Studies. Today we are going to study under the subject of numismatics, ancient and early medieval coinages of the region called Andhra Desha. So Andhra Desha as a cultural entity is well documented in ancient world sources, both Indian and foreign, in the pre-Mauryan period and the Mauryan period. The first mention of Andhras as a people is in the Brahmana text Aitra Brahmana, where they are mentioned as one of the peoples who descended from the sons of Vidya-mitra, who were exiled outside the Aryavarta with other tribes which are named as Pundras, Shabaras, Pulindas, and Mulibas. This was a very fluid period. Possibly it was a period of movement towards the South India. So possibly the epics are trying to depict that period of migration from north to the south in this period. The Andhras also mentioned by some historic sources, most notably Pliny, who wrote the geography, and he drew majorly possibly from Megasthenes Indica, which today doesn't exist as a book, but mentions Andhras as a very powerful race with 30 walled towns. One of this might have been a modern excavated site called Kotalingala. We're going to be talking today about the coins found at Kotalingala. So already before the Mauryans came into the period, the Andhras were already a power, and the Ashokan edicts refer to the Andhras as a subject people, along with others like the Yavanas, the Kambojas, the Palidas, the Bhojas. There are notable similarities between certain of the names, like the Palidas, along with the Pulindas. Similarly, there are some other names which match, so possibly this is an actual historical reference we find in the earlier sources as well. Coming to the coinages of the Andhra people, in the period of the 6th century BC, there was a period of formation of a number of states termed as the Janpadas, and then these states coalesced as the Mahajanpadas. The Janpada basically is a word which comes from the word Jana, Pada, which means the footprint of the people. So these were states which were formed by clansmen, people who were similar to each other ethnically, racially, culturally, and they formed the clans, communities, and based on ideological similarities like republican character. Now, much of this information is lost, but about 16 such states are mentioned in the Buddhist texts, as well as certain other sources as Solasa Mahajanapada. Furthermore, we find that the Mahajanpadas were eventually absorbed in the Mauryan Empire, which rose in the period of Chandragupta Maurya and later under his grandson Ashoka the Great. So these local states, the Janapadas, issued their own coins. Very famous coins are of the state of Gandhar Janpad and few other North Indian states. The study of South Indian coins is in a flux in this period. The reason for this is some of the coins which are early documented finds of from the Andhra region are possibly the earliest silver punchmark coins from the area. One major hoard which was found from Shringavaram in about 1934 documents about 73,650 coins, out of which majorly most of these coins weighed from 1.14 grams to about 1.78 grams, with a minimum or a median of 1.55 grams. So these coins have a very unique look, fabric as we call it, numismatics, and they come with 4 punches, amongst which there is a prominent elephant emblem. Some of the emblems on these coins are repeated twice, or at the most there are 3 different emblems. And these coins are believed by most numismatists to have been issued by the ancient rulers of Andhra region. Many go as far to suggest that there was an Andhra Janapada at this period, and also they suggest that since the coinage of this period is similar to the coins of the adjacent regions, these might have been a larger state or a Andhra Empire. The next major period in Andhra's history was the rise of the Mauryan power. Though this is not directly recorded, but the indirect influence of the Mauryans is seen with the influx of the imperial Magad Karshapanas. These are silver punchmark coins with about 3.3 grams of weight, with 5 punches, amongst which the sun is the common emblem, and these are found in large numbers as hordes of imperial punchmark coins, which have been recorded from places like Amravati, Pedabankur, and Nastulapur in Karimnagar district. Additionally, the imperial punchmark coins have been also reported from surface finds as well as certain layers in the Kotalingala excavations. This find is not surprising because the people of Andhra region by this time would have been already used to using the silver punchmark coinage in the form of the preceding coinage of the Andhra Janapada. And they would have found it very easier to match the imperial punchmark coinage and adapt it to the local conditions. Another thing that we see is the fall of the Mauryans was followed immediately by the rise of few other dynasties. This period is preceded probably by a little period or maybe by a major period by an array of copper, bronze, and lead coinage which were initially uninscribed. Importantly, they come with a lot of emblems like tree in railing, multi-arch hills, swastika, wheel with spokes, either individually or in combinations. The Kotalingala excavations have thrown up some uninscribed variety of animal coins like the horse, the animal, the bull, the camel, along with these emblems. So this points to possibly a local uninscribed coinage of Kotalingala. Some of these coins also come with the reverse Ujjaini symbol, which was later to become a very major sign in the period of the Satavahana. The Satavahana period followed some time in the region later, but before this came the inscribed coinages of various powers. Local powers like smaller chieftains who possibly had links with the Mauryans had the titles like Maharati, Mahabhojas, Mahasenapati, and Mahatalwars, and they issued their own coinage in both pre-Satavahana and post-Satavahana period. The Ashokan edicts mention some of these local rulers as Rathikas and Bhojas in the Deccan, and these may have been absorbed in the Mauryan administration as local feudal chieftains. So to acknowledge and allow the authority in the region, many of these rulers would have issued their coinage. A particular type of inscribed coin found in the Andhra region has been the coinage of a dynasty which takes the title Mahatalwars. Various rulers have been named in this coins with the names like Shiva Sebak, Majasammikasa, and Balakuta. Interestingly, some of the emblems and some of the seals of these rulers have been found. The name Shiva Sebak is very important because there's also another ruler in the pre-Satavahana period whose name was Raja Sebak and whose stray coins are found all over Deccan. These coins, interestingly, again come with the image of a bull on the obverse, along with a 6-arch hill and a reverse 3-ratna symbol, and a very prominent Brahmi inscription, Rajno Sebaka, which means that this king also took the title Raja Sebak. Other pre-Satavahan rulers whose names appear on coins are Gobad, Narayan, Kamya, Kamvyayasiri, Samagopa from Kotalingala. Then there is the Raja Kuberak, whose coins and impressions are found in Bhatti Prolu. And then there is Raja Somaka, whose coins and impressions are found from Vademanu. Again, there is another site called Dhanya Katanka, whose ruler is called as Raja Kumariya Samaliya. So these are the impressions that we form of the pre-Satavahana period, that it was a period of simply common coins being impressed upon, especially in lead and bronze, by local rulers who were nothing more than either regional chieftains or officers, imperial officers, who had gained power after the Mauryans lost their power. Another interesting series which comes up from coastal Andhra is a pre-Satavahana dynasty. This dynasty is believed to have taken the family name Sada because of the recurring name of Sada as one of the recurring terms on the coin. These coins have been found in Vadamanu excavations. Interestingly, these coins also have been linked to a certain dynasty which has been given the name Meghavahana by Dr. D. Raja Reddy, who found a similar inscription of a ruler who takes the title Mahasadasiri. On the inscription, he is also mentioned as Meghavahana. So this dynasty possibly had two names, and the common title which occurs on most of the coins is Sada. Interestingly, on these coins, we see a lion prominently facing right, or sometimes we also see a horse facing the right, and there is the name of the rulers, which are Mahasada, Sadasiri, Sivisada, Sivasada, Sivamakasada, and Asakasada. Dr. Shailendra Bhandare, in his thesis, has also shown the link of the Sada coins to the Satavahana coins from coastal Andhra. Especially, he has linked one series of lion type of the ruler, Satavahana ruler Siri Pulumavi in the British Museum, whose coins have been basically matching with the preceding coins of Sadasiri. He has thus approximated the gap in knowledge between the early numismatists, notably Eliot and Rapson, who allotted these coins very blankly to the Andhra dynasty, that is the Satavahans, and the current idea that this might have been just a pre-Satavahana dynasty. So we see the link between the coins of the Satavahans in this region specifically. Another dynasty which issued its coins was the family which took the title Maharati. We find coins of this family in Veerapuram. A number of rulers are mentioned on these coins, which typically have the elephant facing the left, along with names like Mahahati, Maharati, Puttasa Hati, Khadahari Hati, Palamasya Hati, Shivamaha Hati. These coins have been found from Chandravali, Brahmagiri, Brahmapuri, Hyderabad, Vidarbh, and some more rulers, and their coins basically resemble the elephant emblem that is prominently seen on Satavahana coins. So we find a lot of coins of the Maharathis basically are similar to the Satavahana coins, and the Ikshwaku coins which followed the Satavahanas in the post-Satavahana period. The reverse of these coins have a 6-arch hill with dots, mounted with a crescent and a flower, and a wavy river below, which possibly indicates the ecology of coastal Andhra and other parts of Andhra in that period. Thus, we see that pre-Satavahana period, Andhra Pradesh was ruled by a series of regional chieftains who took great pride in their regional freedom and expressed the same by issuing coins of local variety to express their sovereignty over other rulers. Now we come to a very important period in the history of Andhra Desha, that is the Satavahana Empire. And as we know, the Satavahanas basically had a vast empire which spread from Andhra Pradesh right up till Ujjain, and they issued a number of coins which were regional specific. So these coins basically were suited only to certain regions and thus issued and thus are found only in those regions. We also find the names of about 11 rulers amongst the 30 odd rulers mentioned in the list compiled in the Puranas. So we see a lot of titles. Importantly, in Andhra, we see that the Satavahanas issued coins with the elephant and Ujjaini symbol, which became the main coinage for Andhra region. Usually, these coins have the elephant with the raised trunk, and then there is the lion type, which was, I've already mentioned, issued by a local dynasty in coastal Andhra region. This was again copied by Siri Pulumavasi in the Satavahana period. And this would have been done simply because the numismatic tradition of the area asked for such a coin to be issued, and thus it led to a larger acceptance of Satavahanas in the region. Now we come to the post-Satavahana period. As we all know, in the first quarter of the third century, the Satavahanas lost power, and essentially there were a number of post-Satavahana dynasties which came to power. But what we see in terms of the coinage is essentially a hangover of the Satavahana paradigm in the Andhra region, which was especially executed by the first post-Satavahana dynasty, that is the dynasty of the Ikshvakus. Ikshvakus ruled from about 225 to 310 of the Common Era. There were gradual changes which were still taking place, and we see some of these being executed in the period of the Salunkayanas, who ruled from 395 to about 420 of the Common Era. Then we see the period of Vishnu Kundans, where there's a definite impact of outside coinages coming in the form of impact of the Pallavas, who are basically rising in this period. And then we see the coins of the Eastern Chalukyas, who again tried to match a local paradigm prevalent in the period of South Indian history at that period, and which was again matched and issued in the time of the Kakatiyas. The Kakatiyas were the last political power to wield influence in the Andhra region, and their coinage was probably the last coinage of the region before the rise of Vidya-mitra Empire. So all these dynasties basically were trying to match the paradigm of prevailing coinages in adjacent regions, and the last two dynasties also ventured to issue gold gadinas, which were similar to those of their contemporaries in Karnataka and Maharashtra. So we first look at the coinage of Ikshvakus. Ikshvakus were the dynasty which again claimed a mythical link to the Ikshvakus of the north, but importantly they were based in the region southeast of Godavari. The Puranas mention them as Shri Parvatiyas, basically rulers of the Shri Parvata forest, and also mentions them as Andhra Bhrityas, that is servants of the Andhras, that is the Satavahanas. Though the Puranas mention that about 7 rulers ruled for about 100 years in total, names of only 4 of them emerge from the inscriptions. These are Shri Chamatula, Madhuri Putra Shri Veerapurusha Datta, Vashishti Putra Shri Ehabala Chamatula, and the last one being Rudra Purusha Datta. Uninscribed coins of the Ikshvakus, possibly linked to them because of the following coinage, have also been found, but majorly in excavations at Nagarjunikonda, conducted in the 1950s, and later hordes of Ikshvaku coins from Ongole Taluka have helped us immensely in understanding the nature of the Ikshvaku coinage. Essentially, it was a copy of the previous Satavahana coinage with an elephant on the obverse and the Ujjaini symbol on the reverse. And they were also made in lead, which was again the chosen medium of Satavahana coinage. But the important thing is in the depiction of the elephant, which has a downward trunk instead of the raised trunk as seen on the Satavahan coins. And the reverse Ujjaini symbol is the same. We find very small legends on some of these coins, which have come out in numerous publications, especially the one by R. Subramaniam. So the names which come out are Shiricha, Shirichata, and Sirichata. These are linked to Chamatula, Siri Chamatula, who was the first ruler of the dynasty. Then we find the name Shri Veera. This is again having smaller versions like Shri V, which are linked to Shri Veera Purusha Datta. And then there is Shri Iha or Shri Ihu, which are linked to Ihabala Chamatula. Again, very rare coins of with legends like Shri Ru, Shri Rudra, or Shri Rudrapu, which are again have been linked to Rudra Purusha Datta. Each of these rulers has been given an average rule, and thus the date of about 310 has been accorded to them. Interestingly, also a new coinage recently has come into find, and these coins have been thrown up again in the region of the Pennar River, and names of a dynasty called as Hiranyakyas have been mentioned on these coins. These coins again are lead and they have obverse images of an horse facing right with the Shrivatsa symbol above and a dot in front of the horse. Many of the coins are found without any inscription, but some of these have been found with small inscriptions which mention the dynasty Hiranyaka or Hiranjaka. And these are, again, there have been inscriptions of these rulers from which people believe that they were the feudatories of the Ikshwakus. They would have declined in power, according to one expert, in about 5th century of the Common Era. So this was possibly a cadet branch or a feudatory power which rose in the Pennar region of Andhra Desha. The next dynasty which came in power was a little late. It was somewhere about 395 of the Common Era, was the Chalukyas, also mentioned as Vengayakas. The Chalukyas issued the charters from the capital city, which is Vengipura, and which is today believed to be modern Peddavegi. One of the coins which has been described and found is a coin with the late Nagari legend Sri Chandrava, and this has been reconstructed to Sri Chandravarman, which is linked to one of the rulers called as Chandravarman from the dynasty of the Chalukyas. Another thing is the dynastic crest of the Chalukyas is the Cowichan bull. Chalukyana, by the way, means the Nandi bull of the king of Lord Shiva. So it is not surprising that they adopted the emblem of bull on their coins, and this is reflected on also the copper plate grants. Later Chalukyana coins bear a lot of resemblance to the coinage of the following dynasty known as the Vishnu Kundans, thus establishing a link between the two dynasties. So the second series that we see is an uninscribed series with the image of a bull on the obverse and a reverse image of a conch surrounded by a series of lines, which typically resembles the coinage which followed the coinage of the Chalukyas. The next dynasty which came in power was the Vishnu Kundans, and coins which have been attributed to them are coins which have a highly stylized lion with an open mouth and an upraised paw and an uplifted tail, which were found way back in the 19th century. They were initially attributed to the Pallavas because the Pallavas were again a power which tried to grow into the Andhra Desha region. But the region of this coinage finding is only in the region ruled by the dynasty of Vishnu Kundans. Hence, in the modern period, these coins have been reattributed to the Vishnu Kundans. The majority of the finds are from the Nalagonda district, along with Karimnagar, Vishakhapatnam, and Guntur. So this matches the contour of the kingdom, which is believed to have been under the Vishnu Kundans. There is also a finding of an eastern Chalukya horde in this region of Nalgonda district, which again clinches the attribution to Vishnu Kundans. An additional argument which has often been given of linking these coins to the Vishnu Kundans is the use of the lion, which was a dynastic crest of the Vishnu Kundans on their seals in their charters. So these are the coins that we find in various collections. One of this is from the National Museum. The Vishnu Kundans were then succeeded by Durjayas. This was the dynasty which ruled for a very brief period, and hence they couldn't issue any coinage, but they were succeeded by the Eastern Chalukyas of Vengi in about 624 of the Common Era. The Eastern Chalukyas rose as a cadet branch of the Chalukyas in Badami when Emperor Pulakeshi II captured Vengi and bestowed it upon his brother Kubja Vishnuvardhan I. Vishnuvardhan ruled Vengi very aggressively from 624 to 641 of the Common Era. He acquired the title Vishma Siddhi, one who attains success in difficult enterprises. Interestingly, another ruler of the same dynasty, the grandson of Vishnuvardhan I, also took the title Vishma Siddhi. Modern numismatists have tried to differentiate between the coins of Vishnuvardhan I and Vishnuvardhan II based on the calligraphy of the coins and thus try to differentiate between the two rulers based on these titles alone. The large number of silver and copper coins have been found of this ruler. One type has a lion at the center with a legend above. Another also has a lion, but the reverse has a double trident with border of rays surmounted by a crescent and flanked by two lamps. The Eastern Chalukyas basically were a minor cadet which survived the war between the Chalukyas of Badami, and they survived till the period of the Cholas. So they didn't issue many coins. It was one of the rulers, Shaktivarman I, who possibly issued coins in 999 of the Common Era. These are gold punchmark coins, and they come with the title Sri Chalukya Chandra in 7 punches, along with the image of a boar, flanked by lamps and a gourd and an umbrella at the center. These coins were interestingly found in the region of Burma from an island called Cheduba for the first time, along with the coins of another Eastern Chalukya ruler, Raja the Chalukya, who ruled from 1019 to about 1060, and he had a similar emblem. Both the rulers' coins mention numerals, which are today believed to be regnal years of both the rulers. So we find coins of Raja with regnal years which range from 3 to 37. Interestingly, a hoard found at Dauleshwaram contained the coins of the son of Raja, whose name was Kulatunga. Kulatunga, interestingly, went on to assume both the kingdoms of Cholas as well as Vengi, and he went on to issue coins of the Eastern Chalukya standard. The important difference was at the center of his coin, he put an emblem of a tiger flanked by a bow and arrow, along with a fish, which indicates that these coins emblem was that of the Cholas and not the Eastern Chalukyas. Thus, Kulatunga tried to approximate the two traditions, that is of the Cholas, by putting the dynastic crest of the Cholas, the tiger at the center, but the fabric of his coins was that of the Eastern Chalukyas. Now we come to the last series of coinage, which was issued by the Kakatiyas, basically who were centered at Warangal and Annamkonda in the 11th century and ruled the region of Andhra Desha till they were displaced by the Tughlaqs during the time of Prataprudra, the last ruler from this dynasty. There has been an interesting debate about the coins of the Kakatiyas. Many coins have been reported in the past where certain titles of the rulers with legend like Kakati and others have been mentioned, but these have not been definitively attributed to this dynasty. What has been recorded both in the epigraphs of this dynasty and also coins which have been found are coins which come in the punchmark technique with punches which mention the title Daya Gaja Kesari and Raya Gaja Kesari. Now, these again have been linked to the Kakatiyas indirectly on the basis of an epigraph which was found in the Guntur district dated 1238 of the Common Era, which refers to a Kesari Gadya. Now, this is either it can refer to a lion device on the coin or it is the actual term Kesari which is written on it, but this is a coin which has been latest attributed to the Kakatiyas. So with this, we come to summarize the topic that Andhra Desha was a historic entity much before in the pre-Mauryan period, and this was a dynamic region which issued its own local punchmark coinage in a period where it was very difficult to monetize. And these coins were interestingly in the standard of half Karshapana, which then were replaced by the Mauryan currency of Karshapana, which weighed about 3.3 grams in about 3rd century BC when the Mauryans came to rule Andhra Pradesh. Soon after the Mauryans lost power, there was a flurry of pre-Satavahana coinages issued by various officers or new-found powers in the region, which became prototypes for many of the coins of the Satavahanas, who again ruled Andhra till the 3rd century of the Common Era. The post-Satavahan coinage again saw many dynasties, whose coinage slowly progressed away from copies of Satavahana dynasty to the actual gold coins of the local South Indian dynasties which were prevalent in the region. Thus, we see the coinage of Andhra Pradesh right from the most ancient to the early medieval period presents an array of coinages which can be studied in greater detail. Thank you for watching this video. For more information, go through our e-text. Visit ePG Pathshala for more videos like this.